Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Clemens. I'm the new editor-at-large of The Hill. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you this morning. Thank you for joining us for The Hill's Newsmaker series. We will be joined in a moment by Secretary of State Michael Pompeo, who just on Friday celebrated his first anniversary in his job. So this is a key moment, the first business day of his next year. So we'll see how he does. In just a few minutes, we will have a very timely conversation on a wide range of foreign policy topics. First, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Partnership for Open and Fair Skies, for underwriting today's conversation. As the public face of public diplomacy, Secretary of State Michael Pompeo is tasked with advancing our nation's geopolitical and economic interests across the world. We look forward to hearing from the Secretary on the administration's foreign policy agenda and his view of America's position on the global stage. Before we begin, a few quick housekeeping notes. In addition to all of you being here this morning, we are live now on C-SPAN 2, so hello to our C-SPAN viewers. We're also streaming on thehill.com. Please keep your phones on silent through the duration of the program, but don't keep them inactive. We encourage you to share our conversation, what you enjoy, what you want to challenge on social media. You can do this on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We are at The Hill Events, and join the conversation by using the hashtag #TheHillNewsmaker Pompeo. All I can say is I'm glad we have 280 characters with that. Finally, you will receive an electronic survey following the conclusion of today's event. We will always be eager to hear how you can make our events more dynamic, improve the croissants, etc. And I encourage you to take a few moments to provide your feedback on today's program. I would like to now invite my friend Scott Reed, Managing Partner for the Partnership for Open and Fair Skies, to the podium to offer brief remarks. Scott, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Steve, for that nice introduction. I'd like to thank The Hill and Bob Cusack for organizing today's event, and congratulate The Hill on bringing on Steve Clemens as editor-at-large. I also want to thank the men and women that are here, our pilots and our flight attendants, for joining us this morning. We appreciate Secretary Pompeo for taking the time in his busy schedule to join us for what I know will be an informative and fascinating conversation. And I'd also like to congratulate Secretary Pompeo on his recent one-year anniversary when he was sworn in at the State Department. Over the last year, he's been a strong advocate for America's interests abroad and an important advisor to President Trump. As Bob said, I'm the managing partner for the Partnership for Open and Fair Skies, a coalition that represents the three major U.S. airlines, Delta, American, and United, as well as 7 labor unions representing airline employees. You might wonder, what could possibly bring these 3 airlines together, considering that they're such fierce competitors? And while, yes, these airlines compete for our business every day of the year, they're also united in their common belief that every airline should operate and compete on a level playing field. For 2.5 decades, that playing field has been governed by bilateral aviation trade agreements known as open skies. These agreements allow carriers to fly between 2 countries with no restrictions, and when enforced properly, no government interference. But over the last decade, the governments of Qatar and the United Arab Emirates have funneled more than $50 billion into 3 state-owned carriers, Emirates, Etihad Airways, and Qatar Airways. Those subsidies violated the sanctity of Qatar and UAE's respective open skies agreements with the United States. Unfortunately, the Obama administration did nothing to address this issue in a meaningful way. But the election of President Trump brought renewed hope that his administration would hold these trade cheaters accountable and stand up for American workers. President Trump and Secretary Pompeo have done precisely that. Last year, the administration reached historic agreements with the governments of the UAE and Qatar that will increase transparency and accountability moving forward. But we know this isn't the end of the dispute. The government of Qatar is now massively subsidizing a tiny regional carrier called Air Italy, which it owns a sizable stake in. The stakes of this fight are real. Continued open skies violations puts 1.2 million American jobs at risk. It affects everyone from pilots to flight attendants, to the ground crew, to the employees at the airport. And as Secretary Pompeo has said, we cannot allow our so-called allies to take advantage of American businesses and American workers. Well, we're proud to call Secretary Pompeo our friend in this fight, and we look forward to the State Department and the entire administration continuing to stand up for U.S. airline workers and the airline industry and enforcing our agreements. I'm sure this topic will come up more, but with that, I'd like to turn it back over to our host, Steve. Thank you.